Storyforge, where legends meet evidence and the past comes alive.
When we picture London under the bombs of 1940, we picture this, an enduring image of a nation standing firm, guided by a smiling prime minister tipping his hat to the unbroken crowds. Historian Angus Calder called this cultural memory the myth of the Blitz. He didn't mean the bravery was a lie. He meant the story we remember was carefully selected and separated from the sheer chaos of the actual event. The brutal reality was that an industrial-scale wave of destruction had suddenly swarmed the English Channel, heading straight for the vulnerable coast. This chart shows the exact strength and equipment of the Luftwaffe units tasked with breaking Britain. Hundreds of serviceable medium bombers and fighters were organized into a highly structured airborne siege engine. Underneath that assault, the defense was largely improvised. This London Underground map shows hastily scribbled annotations, converting the transport network into emergency shelters. Millions fled the streets, cramming themselves into these densely clustered pockets beneath the central city. Down here, surrounded by damp tile and the hum of the rails, entire communities waited out the darkness. So how do you get from a fragmented population hiding out in the bowels of the earth to an airtight story of national invincibility? To figure out how the public actually held up, the government relied on organizations like mass observation. They dispatched anonymous investigators to secretly map the thoughts and behaviors of working-class communities. These observers walked through a completely fractured geography. Streets were reduced to barricades of splintered stone and hollowed-out churches. What they found was that the national spirit mattered less than local geography. A neighborhood's immediate layout and social ties dictated how its residents handled the trauma. People survived by adapting to whatever fragments of architecture were left standing, claiming tight alcoves and church crypts as their new homes. The reality was intimate and bizarre. Entire families were sleeping tucked into the wooden shelves of a basement bookstore. The government needed a population united under a single heroic banner. But the secret observers found millions of isolated people focused purely on getting through the next 24 hours. To bridge that gap, the Ministry of Information sent in writers, photographers, and filmmakers with a specific job: to build a cohesive narrative out of the debris. Directors like Humphrey Jennings treated the ruined city as raw material, molding the chaos into a highly structured visual story of a people's war. They leaned heavily on the ideology of Deep England, an idyllic vision of a spiritual core that supposedly tied every citizen together, smoothing over any inconvenient differences in class or local panic. This unity was actively constructed. Crews carefully positioned cameras around shattered trees and ruins to capture the exact mix of tragedy and dignity they needed. This curated story of calm resilience was then exported directly across the Atlantic. Britain needed American supplies, and projecting a stoic, unified front proved they were a worthy ally. Broadcasters like Ed Murrow reinforced this, describing the unhurried footsteps of Londoners on their way to the shelters to millions of American listeners. The cameras did not lie, but they did select. They filtered out the messy, terrifying reality of a bombed city and drew the map of a highly orderly, inspiring myth. But a strange thing happens when a nation is repeatedly told a story about its own character. It starts to believe it. This flowchart illustrates how that feedback loop operated. As the state fed curated images of heroic endurance down into the bomb shelters, civilians began aligning their own real-world behavior with that fictional standard, which then fed back into the national myth. People needed a way to process the senseless destruction falling from the sky. They used this heroic mythology as a framework to organize their daily survival. The cinema reinforced the rules. Films showing oil-covered men maintaining staunch camaraderie on a lifeboat taught the public what was expected when tragedy struck. By acting out the roles written for them by filmmakers and politicians, the British public generated genuine acts of mass courage. The manufactured myth became a daily practice. The physical scars of the Blitz eventually faded from the map of London, but the cultural identity it forged did not. When a society is forced to build a story to survive its darkest trauma, that story becomes its reality.
Enjoyed the story? Like, comment, share, and subscribe to Storyforge,
for more epic adventures.